Greetings, my little GGs. Time to get cooking. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Just move Oscar. Say no more. Lips are sealed. Just put him over there. Can't say anymore. So, we're going for simple dish tonight. Going Italian again. We're going to make a carbonara. Now, I've already prepared some pasta, freshly made, freshly rolled and cut. So that's just keeping sort of undried under there, if you like. So, obviously we've got the pasta done. Haven't cooked it. I've got a pan here of water. I'm going to bring that to the boil. Pardon me. So, I'm going to get everything all ready to go. So I've got my pasta ready. I've just put the pan back on the heat. Okay. Bit of semolina flour on the floor, a bit slippery. I've got 3 eggs here, and what I need are 3 egg yolks. Now, it's not that pretty. It's not quite like, oops, making a meringue. It doesn't matter if I get a bit of yolk in the white or get some white in with the yolks, but we'll try not to. Okay, for the sake of being good, if you like. I'm trying to keep the whites because then I can make some meringue with that. Because actually, I used a lot of eggs that you're making that pasta. What? Yeah, I used a lot of eggs. So I've got a lot of meringue, or rather, sorry, a lot of egg whites, so I can make a lot of meringue. So, oh, fish that one out. Don't you dare. How about that then, eh? Could get my hands in there. We notice how on the TV programmes they sit there and they do it through their hands. Yeah, carbonara. Obviously, as already said, it's Italian, and we know it's a pasta dish. Sort of comes from Rome, and essentially, it's a carbonara is something that's made from eggs, hard cheese, cured pork, and black pepper. And that's essentially it. The actual sort of one we're making is more of the modern one that sort of came around about the 20th century, but there doesn't seem to be this huge history behind carbonara, if you like, as in, you know, you can't sort of find a lot of documented evidence. Now, what I've got here is some pecorino. You can't get any pecorino, which is quite easy to get in supermarkets, even Tesco's. It's got a bit greasy on it. You can use Parmesan, and what I'm doing is I'm just going to grate a generous amount of pecorino into them egg yolks. Okay, we will be using some more pecorino at the end, but essentially we're going to create a creamy sauce. This really is sort of gone all greasy. Must be the warmth. It's not that warm. We're going to create like a creamy sauce. Whoa! That bit wanted to escape. But some people argue, well, is it like carbonara, like an Alfredo? No, it's not. An Alfredo, you would actually add cream. You don't add cream, okay, to a carbonara. So I'm just going to degrease my hands, clean up this mess, and we'll finish off that. Now I've got some freshly ground black pepper, and I'm just going to put that into there. And then, I'm going to keep that because I might want that later. All we're going to do is we're going to smash it all together. Okay, and then I'm going to put it to one side because that will be ready to go in there once we get to that stage. So let me just put that over there. The water's come up to the boil, so I've already added some salt earlier actually. So I'm just going to chuck some salt in there, some Himalayan pink salt. And then, like I said to you, carbonara is typically with a smoked meat, and we're using pancetta. Now, if you can get like, you know, like a thick-ish chunk of it, that might be even better. But basically, Tesco's only sort of serve it in these thin slices. Well, my Tesco does anyway. So all I've done there is I've just cut that up into thinner bits, and we're going to fry that up. Because like I said to you, carbonara typically with smoked meat, could be bacon. Basically, a carbonara is from a family of dishes involving like bacon, smoked type meat, preserved meat, cheese and pepper. Pasta al gricchia, or gricchia, don't know how you pronounce that, don't know me Italian that one, is also a dish, a pasta dish with eggs, which was melted lard and then a mixture of eggs and cheese, so it's very similar to that. And that we actually have documented in 1839. But it's not really till after the Second World War it became known as a carbonara. So why did it become a carbonara? What's carbonara mean? Right. Well, I'm just going to have a little bit of a clean up, check to see if the wife's ready, because we can then start cooking. So I've got a pan which we're going to fry off our pancetta in a minute. I've got my eggs done, I've got my pecorino ready, I've got some olive oil, I've got a lemon, and I've got some black pepper and my pasta. So we're all ready to go. So into my pan, I'm just going to add a couple of glugs of olive oil, and I need that for that one. And then we're just going to turn that on. I'll just turn it down low at the moment, and then all we're going to do, put that away, is we're just going to heat that oil up, and then we're just going to fry off that pancetta. So I was saying, where did the name come from? Why I called it carbonara? Because it didn't used to be called that. Like I say, it doesn't really seem to have been called that till after World War II. Well, one theory, maybe it's getting low, isn't it? One theory is that it's derived from the word carbonaro, which is the Italian word for a charcoal burner. And so some people say, well, perhaps this was like a nice hearty meal, you know, pasta and cheese and meat to feed the charcoal burners. So not the actual charcoal burning oven, but the blokes who worked in the charcoal burner. And that it was therefore a derivative of that. Others say it could be in a similar vein related to the carbonari, which were the charcoal men, which was a secret society. Bit like Oscar lips I see at the moment. But there's an even more likely suggestion that it's nothing like that, nothing to do with charcoal burners, nothing to do with secret societies. It was simply a dish from a restaurant in Rome known as La Carbonara. So there you go. Right, the oil's just coming up temperature. We'll be ready to start frying it off. So I'm just going to try and break this pancetta up, because obviously all the bits stuck together. I mean, I could have done it all slice by slice, which might have made that bit a bit easier, but you know, it'd be a pain in the ass, wouldn't it? So you can make this crispy if you like, it's up to you. So like I said to you, carbonara, but you know, the name carbonara didn't exist before World War II. The first time it's actually really been properly sort of recorded as such was 1950s, when there was an Italian newspaper called La Stampa, which claimed that it was a dish that American officers in 1944, from 1944, after, you know, the Allies liberated Rome, they basically asked for this Roman dish. And at that time, a lot of the Italians were now eating a lot of eggs and bacon, simply because during the war they hadn't been able to access it. But the American troops were giving them all these eggs and bacon, and so they came up with this dish. So, who knows? Who knows? Got myself another beer. Got my hands all greasy now. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a stir with a spatula. Still not quite ready yet. Mrs. is still swimming in the bowl. We're ready for the pasta. So basically we're going to take our pasta and we're going to put it into that boiling water. And then we'll cook it. We don't want to overdo it. Definitely, by the way, the trick to this is keeping this covered up. You can keep it in the fridge, but otherwise it just dries out and then it's sort of a bit more difficult to do. So I've got some like tagliatelle there. Now tagliatelle, fettuccine, linguine, spaghetti are probably the ideal types to use for this because of their surface area to volume ratio. And it means they retain the amount of sauce better. Now, if you're going to make morsels, then that's when you want something like pen or something like that, because that can hold morsels. So, that's it about the history of carbonara. Prosciutto, oh, no, it's not prosciutto, is it? Pancetta is just about done. So I'm just going to turn the heat down low and let that carry on while we wait for the pasta. Because until that pasta's cooked, I can't do much else. Apart from having a beer. Or finish off that beer first and then have another beer. So my pasta's cooked. Ooh. That's good, isn't it? So I'm just going to drain this off, but I don't want to get rid of all the water. So I'm going to keep some of the water because we're going to be adding a little bit of that to that. I'm going to move that over to there just because it's a bit easier. And then I'm taking that drained pasta, tipping that in there and adding a little bit of that water. I might add some more later. Okay, and all we're going to do now is just going to mix this through, just using the heat from the pan at this stage. And then remember, our final thing is our egg and cheese mix. And what I'm going to do, because that's quite stiff, that's the actual centre of the mission, just going to add a little bit more of that water and just mix that through, and then we'll be ready to add in the egg and cheese mix. Just going to add that mix. Might go a little bit overboard on cheese, to be honest, but who cares? So we're just going to add that, and then you want to stir that through. And like I say, I might need to add a little bit more water. What we're trying to do, obviously, is make a bit of a creamy sauce without making scrambled eggs and pasta. So, like I say, I might just add a little bit more water, but I don't think it needs an awful lot. And then our final touch will be get it onto plates. We'll add a little bit more grated pecorino. We'll add some zest of lemon and possibly some more black pepper, although it looks like there might be enough black pepper in there. So there you go. Let's get ready for that final serving up stage. Like I said, final stage, just grate a little bit more pecorino over the top, and then little zest of lemon. And there you have your authentic Italian carbonara. I'm not going to taste it because I left all the knives and forks next door. So I'm going to go and eat that now. Carbonara.